Good morning, podcast listeners. What is up, everybody? And welcome to another exciting episode of the Calix and Crew podcast. I'm your host, as always, Doc Calix. Very exciting episode today. The Duke is back. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. We have none other than the man himself, Duke Diamond, on the show. Known for his work with heirloom skunks, Afghanis. The purple dahlia is beautiful. We used to grow the Munson and the Polecat 91. Those both amazing strains. We're excited to get in here. We're excited to talk to him. But before we do, I want to give a quick shout out to one of the show's sponsors, Stonerdays Apparel. You guys can go over to shop.stonerdays.com. Use code CALYX, that's all caps, CALYX, for 20% off your order at checkout. They have all kinds of stoner-inspired apparel, tie-dyes and psychedelic stuff. We have dab mats from them. We have posters. We love everything that we get from shop.stonerdays.com. Go check them out. Now, without further ado, let's learn about living soil. Let's talk about some of his cultivars. Let's talk about his work with organic and regenerative practices. None other than the Duke himself. After a minor fuck up, we are back with Duke Diamond of Dominion Seed Company. How you doing, man?
Goddamn hippies.
For the first time in podcast history, I forgot to hit the recording on Duke's audio, so we've already gone over this. Anyway, we're going to pop back on course here. I know you for your work with your skunks, your Afghans. When we fucked up that recording, you were talking about blueberry and how you'd got some blueberry. You started growing when you were 13. You're working with skunks. You're working with Afghanis, and then all of a sudden you're buying blueberry seeds from a seed bank. What were those blueberries that you really liked?
So starting off with the old original varieties, like from my cousins that I grew with and stuff, skunks, Afghans, NL skunk, evolves into later, you're looking at what's hot, like the newest of the new. It's a real exciting time. We go into the widows, and then eventually we evolve into the years where the blueberry was coming out. And like you said, you were talking about all the excitement back then, getting the money order, trying to hide, not get caught, just to get the damn seeds over, take 2 months or whatever. Then we finally get these blueberry seeds. I found good stuff. I didn't find that crazy, people used to call the blueberry yum yum, But like I said, friends, they had a friend that I guess did, and you got to smoke some of that. And I mean, it was off the charts. But my favorite one of all time, Blue Moonshine. I had a Blue Moonshine that was like fucking drugs. Like, I mean, just so strong. It stunk so bad. It's still in my top 10 list of all time.
Nice.
Just insane. And unfortunately, that was one of the ones like he did away with, because I talked to him at a show one time being like, hey, what's up with that? He's like, oh yeah, bringing it back. I'm like, why would you have ever gotten rid of it? And he was like, well, it was a stepping stone. It was just a step in a long process, because DJ, he does a lot. He works the shit. He's not in no hurry. Puts the work in. The dude really gets it in. So he said, yeah, I'm working on it. So that's one thing I gotta check on. He's like, yeah, it'd be a couple years. So I'm like, all right, well, it's been a couple years for sure. It's been a long year. So I know you haven't been going out and about socializing and partying. So what's up with that Blue Moonshine, dude? So it was supposed, like, I remember the description. It was like the blue side of the widow family, or the white, or he called it the white family. I know it's some it's white widows. And my God, like little kush plants, all like super dark purple, almost black, and just this pungent. It smelled purple, if that makes any sense. I mean, it was like the epitome of like the smell purple. It's so pungent, man, like chemical pungent funk. It was just awesome, man. It grew awesome, and just the potency of it was just knockout. I love that shit.
Did it take more after those moonshine traits, or did it take more after the blue traits?
It was, I can't really honestly speak on it, because I never had his, what he would call like pure moonshine or any of that. But whatever that project was, I mean, it was like if you had like the most gnarly of the blueberry type funks, but more, like I said, just the color purple, man.
That was the selling point.
Oh, dude, it was just ridiculous, man. And like I said, it's so potent, just knockout shit, man. And like that was my all time favorite. You know, delving into those lines. You know, I grew the Great Crush, and what was the other one I grew? It was Azure Haze, I think.
Okay.
Tried that one, but yeah, nothing like that Blue Moonshine. I was like, oh, the F13 homies, forgot about that one. But yeah, nothing like that. Nothing like that Blue Moonshine though.
Nice, dude. I feel like I don't hear you talk about some of your favorite strains. You know, I've heard you talk about a lot of your cultivars very often, but we don't hear
Nobody
very
ever
much
asked
about
me.
like what you like. And that's a big part of growing is like you're taking
Yeah,
other people's stock and trying to find stuff out of that too, right?
yeah, and that's the thing is like some guys are just like all about, oh, I like this, so let me get seed breeder A and seed breeder B, and I'm just gonna sling it together and I'm gonna sell seeds. I've never been really that type of dude. I do my work and then other people's work. Well, that's their work. I like their work. You know, it's a done deal for me. I'm just gonna grow it and smoke it. But unfortunately, when you really get into breeding and stuff, man, all your space and all your time's taken up with it. As far as delving into like newer things that people make, it was all like taking a back burner for like retirement day or something, you know. And then I'm gonna jump into those. But there was a lot of stuff that I liked, you know, just like to grow and just, you know, smoke it. So they were just clones that were in the room, and it's like, all right, well, I need some more of this weed. So like while I'm testing out these, you know, bunch of these beans that I just made, yeah, in the back corner, I'll have a whatever, yeah, just to replenish, you know.
I feel like it's fair to say, though, out of everything that you appreciate, you're more into the gassy, skunky, rotten type offensive shit. Would that be right?
Yeah, I like, and I have such an appreciation for all of it. But yeah, I tend to go toward, like I said, sour, chem type funk. You know, that's typically the way my hand always goes. But equally to that, I do like those like really, really potent purples and like those hash plants, those really narcotic hash plants.
That's definitely something I wanted to talk to you about.
Yeah, man, that's another big one for me. But then like when I'm talking like hazes and you know shit like that, you know, it's a whole nother, you know, frankincense funk. Like, man, honestly, man, really, I'm all over the place. But I guess you know, when it comes to the evening time and the nighttime, yeah, it's like it's going more toward that you know what people say, like the gassy side of things, or I'm going toward those real narcotic hash plants that have more of the, I mean, some of them are like that too, but my favorite one was more, like I said, in that purple flavored realm of things.
So, speaking on hash plants, back in the day, I told you earlier, two of the ones that we grew from you that we loved were the Munson, and the most memorable for me is the Polecat 91.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That Polecat 91, that had Skelly hash plant in it, right?
Yeah.
And see, Skelly hash plant, I've heard the puck a million times, but that was a little bit beyond my time. I think the only thing that I've had it in is your Polecat 91. Can you tell us a little bit more about Skelly and what made that hash plant so popular and wanted?
Yeah, so normally out there, like especially in the breeding world and stuff like that, or like the people that might not be breeding, but they're like the extreme growers that actually keep track of all the genetics being made and sold and everything. Anytime there's anything out there where anybody says, "Nah, man, you can't have it," it makes them go fucking wow. That's literally all. I even joke with it. Dude, I even joke with a friend. I was like, "Look."
The old dealer's trick. No, you can't have that jar, man.
I'll fucking make something. I'm just gonna grow it, show pictures, talk about how awesome it is. And when people are like, "Oh, I want these," like, nah, you can't have it.
No.
And, you know, just like smoke people down and be like, nah, it's not, you can't have it, you know. And then people go wild, and then all you gotta do is let one clone out to somebody who you know who's gonna give it away. All right. And then when you do that, be like, whatever you do, don't give it to anybody, right? And within the year, it should be in like, you know, 10,000 different hands. Crazy. Somebody's gonna have t-shirts of it. And then at that point, that's when you drop the seeds and you just cash out. Like, that would be just the ultimate fuckery. You know what I mean? Just to show like how it works.
Fucking Duke dropping tips.
So yeah, I mean, there's that. But all that aside, it is super, super, super fucking dank, man. It's just fucking awesome. It's one of those hash plants that leans on that just rotten, gassy, nasty ORAG type side of things. Extremely potent. That just slow as shit. Barely even stretches when you flower it. But man, it's just amazing. And when I was talking to Mike and everything, and his, the dude that originally got the seeds over in Holland, and they came back with it hidden sewn into a sweater and all that shit. It was because they got it or whatever before Cincy was doing the shit with Neville, so it should have been Neville's hash plant stock.
Oh wow!
Which was, I think it was like an NL2, NL1, and something else. Man, my brain's been a little hazy here lately.
Oh no!
But like if you got the power of the internet, right? You can look up the old seed bank catalogs. And Bean Brains could correct me too. He even sent me like old catalogs with their at home. But I remember it was like a heavy NO base. And anyways, they come over here, they're growing it. And, it stood the test of time. And typically anything that's that old and stands the test of time, there's a damn good reason for it. So having that heavy NO base, that was one good reason. And just the fact that it's awesome. It's got what I like and what I want. The other side to it is like my own personal beliefs, like I've heard a billion and one stories about Kim from here, Kim from there, Kim from here, Kim from there.
Yeah.
I've always believed that Kim is a derivative of that. So sticking with that gut, I always thought that I was like, well, maybe it was like an skunk that was, producing that hit it, and that's the derivative. So I felt like, all right, if I'm gonna work in this gene pool, I want to encapsulate as much as I can of that into this hybrid, right? Which is going to be gnarly funk and really good potency. So that was kind of the starting point of doing that whole project. So that way, eventually, I have a Dominion skunk male, which was a hybrid. It had all the core genes in it, and then I could use that to start hitting anything that was Kim. And then I did another project I was trying to hit basically anything Kim OG with it, which was a figure 4 male. So like I wanted to have those things and work them to the way where I'm keeping the funk, I'm keeping the good qualities of that gene pool, good strong branching and everything to go along with that rad potency and really good gnarly nose on everything. So that was kind of that whole project to finally hit that end goal. And the Polecat and then the Polecat BX were definitely up there on the charts with the nose and the potency and everything. So it worked out pretty damn good.
I really missed that one. I gotta say that was by far one of my favorite outdoor plants of all time.
Fuck yeah, dude.
We would top. I had a patron member ask me earlier. They heard about your tips on high stress training, low stress training, and they wanted to know like if there's certain cultivars that you recommend a certain amount of training on or a certain type of training. And they said they had a polecat outcrossing from you. I don't think he mentioned what cross it was, but I said if it's anything like the original polecat and you're doing it outdoors, top it once, super crop the lowers, and then just keep everything even. And it's going to produce like hell for you.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. And that's like another little tip for like anybody growing out there. And it was something that, I learned this early on. Growing out different things, especially when you're growing from clone. Say like, our first go around, we're just like, all right, we're just going to go for the topping. So you top it, and everything's kind of little. But let's say like you don't cull it. You go again, and this time you super crop, and so, oh wow, all the flowers are like really big. Some things don't respond well to like the multicola type training, right?
Right.
So like a good example of it was the 88 G13 hash plant. If you super crop it a little bit and get the lower branches to kind of come up toward the top and keep them about 4 to 6 inches below the apex of it, the very tip of the top, you would do great. Now, if you pinched it again and got everything even, or if you topped it early on, your yield would go down below half of what you would have got. And those growth auctions, which are what it's sending to the apex, says like, you get the lion's share of my energy right now. When you have to divvy it up across a whole bunch of different tops, it's like some of these plants, like they just get confused or something. They get a little worked up over it, and you don't end up getting it. Now, some plants you can have 12 tops, and you're going to get 12 equally large colas, and it's going to do very well for you. And then some of them, it does nothing, or in some cases, it even did worse. So what I always say is like when you grow out from seed, kind of go not all natural, but just do the super cropping enough to where you're getting the lowers up near the top, and do your first run like that. Find your winner, right? And then once you got that, and you're going to move forward, and now it's the next run. Try like one clone, topped. Try one clone super cropped, like you normally would, and then do another one, with multiple tops, 5, 6, 10, however many tops you want, and see how it responds. Then that way you're kind of dialing it in, how you're going to have your space management go down. And then that way, you can predictably say, okay, well, I'm going to need, this much square footage for each one of these plants. They're going to give me, give or take, about this amount, and it responds what best in this way. And, do that at the same time as you would, dialing in your feeds, and also like your chop times too. Because my first few runs, I play around, give or take, a couple days before, during, and after, to really, really dial in that chop date, to see if that potency really spikes. Because some things, man, they have like a little short window where shit really, really spikes and peaks very high. It's great and potent before and after, but there's these little windows where shit'll make you snot trough sweat. And, that's ultimately, we want the best possible, right? So play around with these things. And then that way, something you're going to keep, you really got that thing dialed in. So you're making the best of your space management, and you're getting the best possible outcome at the end,
Dude, that's a perfect tip for new growers right there. Take that same clone that you like, grow it in as many ways possible, and see how it responds best.
Yeah.
Mind your 6 Ps, right?
Yeah, proper planning prevents piss poor performance.
Piss poor performance. Love that, bro.
Yeah.
Another thing that you talk about is something that I talk to my patrons about very often. You say it a little bit different than me. You talk about reading a plant's sign language, right? What does that mean?
So, obviously they can't speak. And if the plant does start talking to you and you're hearing a language, then you might want to put the mushrooms in out or whatever and come back later.
Damn it, that's what's going on.
And like, yeah, man, it was speaking fucking Cleon or something. I couldn't quite make it out, man. But so I always kind of related it to like, they can't verbally speak, but they can speak through sign language. So it's up to us to know the best way to understand that. And I would kind of like relate it to if you've known somebody long enough and you notice like they look a certain way or act in a certain way, that they might be hungry or they're hot or whatever. So like the same like social cues like you would use with another human being, and more in particular a human being like that you hang around a lot, you might notice little subtle little things. So same type deal, like, know what your deficiencies look like, know what your toxicities look like, understand about light sensitivity, and know what 100% super healthy looks like. So you can kind of have a gauge on that. So that way you're knowing like, you know, the perfect sweet spots for like watering. Cause you know, if you're doing your soil thing, I noticed like a lot of people over water, like has like a huge problem. So not over watering and knowing like the right amount to give them for like what they need for that period in time, and knowing when to give it to them, you know, and then looking at the angle of how the leaves are pointing up or flat or less than parallel with the floor, you know, when they start to come down past that point. Knowing these little things and knowing what, yellow leaves starting at the bottom are, knowing what a little rust spot is. Become familiar with all these things, and essentially you're learning their language, right? And then that way you know how to better handle your problems if there is a problem. And then once you start to learn these different things, know how to deal with them accordingly. If you're an organic grower, know how to do it organically, and don't limit yourself to knowing like, oh, I need a bottle of whatever. Like, there's a bunch of ways. You know, like one could even get calcium. I had a buddy that in a pinch he crushed up a bunch of Tums.
Oh damn! Yeah, that's actually fucking Jesus.
Yeah. So like, you know, if you're in a pinch, and a lot of that, you know, it comes from growing up in an illegal world where I can't go to a grocery store. I'm gonna get fucking indicted if I go to this grocery store. You know, like I just can't do it. I can't order things. So you had to be able to make your own things. So that knowledge came from there. But you know, there's a whole bunch of different ways, and that's the thing is like you might have this dolomite lime that you'd have, you know, made a slurry with and broke it down with some microbes and shit. And now you're using that, but you know, you might not be able to get out, and you're like, oh man, I need a little calcium boost real quick, and you don't have any, but you know it's really needed. Maybe you're out in the boonies. It's going to be a while before you can get out. Hey man, you saw a roll of fucking Tums, you know, and you're like, all right, cool. You know, you could potentially use that, you know. So there's a lot of, I wouldn't recommend it, of course, you know, but if you had to, you had an alternative. So like, no.
In a pinch, when in Rome, right?
Right. So you know, you gotta know your alternatives and things like that. Like Brer Rabbit molasses, for instance, shit ton of calcium in that. So that give you a little boost there. It's got some iron and some other goodies in there as well. So you know, just be well versed in what to do according to what this plant is trying to tell you. You know what I mean? So you know, the more you know, right?
Yep. The more you know.
Yeah.
No, that's I love how you explain that, because that's a big thing that I tell my patrons. I call it reading your plants. And it's basically exactly how you described it. I would say watering practices are the number one killer of plants for new growers.
Absolutely.
It's the hardest thing for them to learn. But after that, it's just understanding mobile and immobile nutrients, understanding what your nutrients are and what they do for your plant, right?
Yep.
Your environmental.
And the one other big one I would add to it is understanding the difference between plant available and not available.
Yeah.
Things that can be taken up, and then things that really need to be broken down, and what it takes to break those down. So knowing that will also help with, you know, doing things, but it's also going to help you with, you know, another thing I've always said with growing, especially my style, which was weird as fuck. It's like the horse and the carrot. You got to push them a little bit, you know, to get them to do exactly what you want to really, really excel. So you have to lead them along, and you need to know why things happen and what causes these things to happen. And that way you can say, okay, well, if higher UV light is going to trigger a response for more oil production, right? We can say, okay, well, we can give it more UV, right? Now we need to know how can we best facilitate this. So now we know how to trigger it, but we need to know how to facilitate that, right? So if you know, like, okay, well, now it's about that time, so we're going to crank the lights up a little bit higher. Now I'm going to start, feeding it something for a little more oil production, and understand that it's kind of like not like a super stress, but it's like a stress response. So when they're stressed, they produce little bits of salicylic acid. So let's help them out. Let's use like aloe water, right? That's got a shit ton of salicylic acid. So let's facilitate the stress response, what they need to produce more oil, and trigger it and deliver. And then that way, with all these other little things, you can kind of lead them along the path that you want.
Yep, absolutely. That's definitely a great tip. Again, is fucking understanding plant stages and what they're using at those different stages, right? Awesome. And you're also a big no-till organic guy, right? Why? What got you into that? You've tried hydro, haven't you?
Oh yeah, yeah. I grew hydro back in the day because of allegedly.
Allegedly. I love that word. I say that one a lot. Allegedly.
But, I was good. Yeah, so it's like to go to a bunch of different places that are all over a state, like it's just not feasible. So you have to have things automated and everything. So that was like the best way to do it. We done drippers, drain the waste, recycles, doing rock wool, done cocoa, did ebb and flow and hydrocorals, and my buddy used to call it hydroton.
Wow.
Hydrogen clay pellets,
Right.
So yeah, I've grown about every way you can think, but grown in soil, without a doubt, always got my best quality, and I wasn't really sacrificing much on the yield department. I'm not into smoking rock hard. Weed just doesn't burn good for me, and I'm not because like the thing is like if you oh it's black ash, well like I mean you can do hydroponics correctly, like it'll have a white ash, but it just wasn't my jam. Flavonoids, terpenes weren't there like they were in the soil. I might, I'm gonna finish a little bit quicker.
I'm with you.
But man, if I'm already going, 60 something days or whatever, like, a few handful of days ain't gonna hurt me when it comes to, the quality of the end product. And ultimately for me, that was my, that's my jam. So back in those days, early days of alleged pumping, it was fine, but it was just out of that necessity and that necessity only.
Right.
So yeah, like for me personally, and especially the way the world is today, it's like I don't have those worries. So yeah, I can just do my soul thing. So aside from the quality and shit, just the ease of it, man. Just the flat out ease of growth. It's cheaper. It's just easier all the way around, And especially like after the first run, you've already paid for that soil, and then you can just rock and roll in it again. If the soil is really really set up for that. As far as like the no-till, it's like yeah, I'm definitely not tilling, but when somebody said that to me years ago, I was like yeah, and they're like, oh, what cover crops are you running? I was like, oh no, bro, I'm doing it. I'm doing my thing inside. Yeah, like, oh yeah, we know. Like, what cover crops you run? I was like, oh, I don't do that. I was like, what about your mulch layer? I was like, well, I stripped down the lower third of my plant, like I minced it up with scissors, and I put that. Yeah, man, I'll throw some bokashi on it, maybe some earthworm castings, and let it go to town, and that does pretty awesome. But I don't grow, another crop on it. And that's just my style. I've tried it. It was just adding to my workload. So just mulching when I'm stripping, that was always good enough for me. And every now and again, I'm top dressing a few things just to keep levels of certain things up. I'm not real big on overloading the soil, like with everything in existence. A lot of those things, like I really want to keep in my control. So some guys will throw it down, shit tons of alfalfa and kelp, and then they're like, right into the mix, and come in with like, oh, it kind of smells like fucking green grass and kind of burns my throat. I'm like, yeah, dude, that's that shit right there. And it's like, something it's not mentioning on that bag of whatever that you're dumping in it is the plant growth regulators. They're organic, but there's PGRs that are in there, so tricantanol and the alfalfa is giving you that nice green grass fucking funk to it. So there's that. And then that acetyl no sodium out of the kelp's really doing it up for you on the smoothness, So it's like don't load your shit down with everything under the sun. You have it in your room, but brew it, make a tea, use it when it's needed. Don't and just because
Yes, you can make it available and you can give it then.
Yeah, and just because it's good in veg and begin to bloom, don't feed that shit through the whole bloom cycle. Like you're inhibiting a lot of things doing it too. Then it goes back to like educating yourself, like why does this do what it does, and what is actually going on other than like, oh, it worked, it did good, plant looked happy, like not like
the beginner grower notes.
So,
I remember taking those notes. Yep, good. Watered, happy.
Yeah, plant green, plant happy.
Plant green, plant good.
Yeah, you go now.
That's awesome. So I'm a big organic guy too. I haven't fucked around with hydro. I'm one of the only organic growers I know that's never touched hydro in his life.
Yeah.
But I went from using like a mostly organic, a Synganic, like balled nutrient system. It was horrible.
Yeah.
It was they had like fucking 13 balls or some shit like that. It was it was just ridiculous. I went from that. I got in
right there.
right. The pH down. That was the worst.
Yeah.
3 drops out. We're way the fuck out now. God damn it.
Oh man. I was like lemon juice, man. For
now, yes. Now I'm using lemon juice. But before I moved into top dressing, and after that I really got into KNF practices, if you're familiar with that.
Oh, very, very familiar, man. It works. And there's books.
Yes.
That are available to the public for anybody listening. It's not some secret. Like, you should get those, learn those, and understand why those things are doing good. It's the same thing like with Tums or whatever. Like, no, like you can find nutrients literally all over the place. Just fermenting them or breaking them down in other ways. It's there, and you can really do some cool shit.
Yes. So I have a couple questions for you on that. I went from using KNF, and every run I would take my soil out, I would re-amend it, like you were saying, just throw it in there because it's good for veg, right? And now I'm getting bigger pots, I'm growing in beds, I'm doing stuff like this, and I'm trying to do the no-till hand in hand incorporated with the KNF. Are you getting your soil tested after each run? Do you gauge it? What type of organic growing are you using in conjunction with your no-till?
As far as like testing goes, for the longest time, that was just not a practical thing that was going to happen for me. Out here, especially like when the CBD shit went super crazy, and that's okay, and it's all legit and everything. You started getting a lot of these ag companies that were coming out. You're like, oh yeah, we'll test your soil. And at that point, that's when I was like, okay, yeah, I can test this because, like I'm at the end of the day, like I'm a scientific guy. I might not look it or sound it, but I want to quantify shit and know what exactly is going on. So I did get to see, my levels and, what would deplete. And it wasn't incredibly far off from what I kind of already knew, like, but I had like a tangible actual number with it now that, I could really hone in with versus me just once again, just looking at the plants in the past and being like, well, every run, on the second, another run, I noticed like I'm starting to peter out here. So I need to start adding this, that, or the other.
Right.
So yeah, if it's available to you and you can do it, I would definitely highly advise that, because we want to be the best at what we're trying to do. As far as my soil pots, like, beds are really cool, but the only, I guess, downside of it to me was if something happens,
Yes.
I don't want it to, yeah, I don't want it to spread. So if for whatever ungodly reason, say Pythium were to come into the mix, I don't want that spreading across the whole bed and losing everything. If I didn't happen to notice it in a plant, I could at least take that pot and remove it out of the area and, be done with it without doing that. And pots offered me a little bit of configurability where I could, arrange things and move around. So, but I mean, beds are cool, but it's just, for me, I needed to have that little versatility as well. As far as my pots, once I set them up, I never bust them up again. But I found out like grow stones ain't around anymore, so I'm gonna have to go back to like pumice and shit like that, I guess, again. But perlite breaks down mad quick though. So the important part about people that I noticed, like when they were doing these like big, huge 20-something gallon no-till pots, or beds for that matter, is that aeration wise, they were just relying a lot on the perlite, and it's going to break down fairly quickly.
Yes.
And then you're going to start losing your aeration, which is going to invite, problems, and the plants are going to start to suffer. Make sure, like when you set your pot or your bed up, make sure that it is, it's set up good to go for the long haul. Sizing wise on my pots, I kind of honed it in over trial and error over a long time. Is the plant that I want about we'll just say diameter times height there equal pot. Once again, plant happy, plant good. So if it was like a small, say like a waist high belly button plant, 5 gallons, 7 gallons full, chest high, chin high, was, maybe a little taller, 10 gallon to 15s, depending on, because some things have the crazy, insane root systems that just want to go bonkers, and other things they don't quite have that vigor in the root zone that like some cultivars do. So I'd play it by ear with the cultivar as well. Kind of try to cater individually instead of like, all right, you're all cannabis, right? All right, cool. Y'all all act the same, right? And it's like, no, it doesn't work like
Not
that.
that one. Not that little
treat
bastard in the corner.
Treat them as individuals. They all got their own dietary needs and their own little tweaks and shit and things they do like, don't like.
So let me ask you another question. Something we've been talking about in my Discord server with my patrons was keeping a no-till in a certain size. I had always heard don't do it in anything under a 15 gallon. A big reason of that is that dry down time, right? And keeping that biodiversity going.
Exactly.
What would you suggest for like the smallest pot size that you could get a no-till system in with?
I think what it really boils down to is the person and how attentive and how much you're there, in your garden. And then the second thing being like when we go back to the plant itself and that root zone vigor. Because like if I got something I know that just has this crazy root zone and I already know that, week 4 flower, it's starting to suck water up so damn quick, I know better than to try to grow this big bastard on a 10 or a 7. So I know like, hey, you definitely need to be in a 15. Some things you can get away with a 10. But yeah, that's the whole key is like keeping these microbes happy, letting them build their infrastructure, their highways and byways, their living spaces and all in places where they're reproducing. You gotta concentrate on them because they're like in your industrial assembly line plant that's job is to send food to the roots. They're your workers, and you got to keep your workers happy. The better they do, the better that plant's going to do. As long as you make sure they're happy in their environment and they have what they need to succeed, and they're going to take care of the rest for you. So I think with most people, definitely, like, I mean, if you want to push the envelope and go back and forth, sure. But yeah, I think, 15 would be a good proper size for most people that might not be able to they might work 2 jobs, or, life gets swept up sometimes. So I think 15 would be a good place. Caveat to that, people with big 15s, they start fucking watering like you just transplanted, like you water it down, you get it good and down. You put in a Dixie cup clone, in it, you watered it in, but everybody wants to water the whole fucking pot again. It doesn't.
It's like throwing the kids in the pool.
Yeah. So it's like, it's just dried out, or not dried out, but it's starting to dry in the immediate area of the transplant. So the rest of the pot was good. You just needed to wet out the circumference of that area again and maintain a good moisture level as it's starting to go along. Because as it comes more to a dry, not dry, but it's running out of this moisture. That's what roots do. It's the horse and the carrot thing. It has to kind of go there, or else the root's going to get complacent. It'll just stay right there and not search for water. So like it needs to come, down in level for it to search for it again. Then you need to reward it with some carrot. And then, you do it again. That's what's causing that root system to go. It's looking for moisture and being fed. That's how she goes. So if it takes a gallon of water, say, to wet down the spot real good, and you transplant in and it's good and happy, well, when you water again, you don't need to hit it with another gallon. You're probably good with 40 ounces of water or something like that. So that's another one that I noticed, because then they're just like, oh yeah, the root zone didn't do shit, and he was just never happy. He was just always droopy all the time, and you were waterboarding it. It didn't have good government secrets, bro. You waterboarded it for nothing, man.
Yep, absolutely. So I need to smoke a bowl really quick, but before we get going to break, I wanted to ask you, has there been one input, one tip, one major piece of advice that has really changed your grow for the better?
It's been so many little things that really did it. One thing, I don't think I could even put it down to just one thing, man. It's just so many things. But hey, I guess that means that we got more to talk about then. We're not going to bored, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. All those little things that you reach for, that people give you advice over, you try them, they work for you, all that stuff adds up to what your style of growing is, right?
Yeah, exactly.
For me, I think the biggest thing, it's not one thing. It's the idea that I don't have to throw my soil away anymore. I can regenerate this. I can not only help my plants, I can help my pocket, I can help the planet all at the same time.
You know what? I could ride with that being one of those things, because, way back in the day, I used to toss mine out. I used to take those root balls, I'd throw them in the garden where I was growing, watermelons, tomatoes, and shit.
Yep.
And I had like that one section where shit was just bonkers. Feel like, man, that's some real good soil down there. Everything must be washing off going down there to the bottom, bro. Yeah, man, I reckon so.
Well, yeah, you throw that shit in the trash, then you got the chance of them seeing that shit, unless you throw it in like a fucking abandoned dumpster somewhere. But
yeah, man, yeah, in the country, just chop it up.
I was talking to Gas from Swami Organic Seed, and that's one of the things that he was talking about too. He used to throw his soil away back in the day. And one of the things that we both know is because that's a place where you can throw soil where nobody's going to question, why is there soil there, right? But,
and you know what? The one time where I just said, fuck it, let's just roll again, just for shits and giggles, just to see what's going on here.
Yep.
It was better. It was better than the first run.
Yep.
And that's what triggered it in my head.
That's what we were saying. We're throwing that soil in our gardens, and all of a sudden we notice our fucking tomatoes are happy. Our fucking plants are happy. Yeah. What's going on here? Like, this isn't trash.
Tomato red. Tomato good.
We're going to take a short break. We will be right back with Duke Diamond. from Dominion Seed Company.
G'day everyone, Grow Green Daddy here. If you're like me and you can't help but sneaking a peek and copping a fill of your lady flowers many times a day, then you need to stay the hell out of their room and let the Kokonaut Mizu keep an eye on them for you. The Mizu is an affordable, battery-operated remote monitoring environment sensor taking constant temperature, humidity and VPD readings with real-time push-to-app notifications. If your grow climate fluctuates outside your set range, you will be notified. With historical charting, you can refer to previous grow data to help perfect your future grow style. And with one account able to monitor multiple Mizu, you have complete grow monitoring on any device signed in through the app. To help dial in your space, Kokonaut is dialing up a discount for Calyx Crew podcast listeners. Use code CALYX, C-A-L-Y-X, at checkout for further savings off the already low $69 price per unit. Check the Kokonaut Mizu out at kokonaut.com. Kokonaut.com. Now back to Doc and Duke to finish off the session.
All right, we're back with Duke Diamond from Dominion Seed Company. I do want to talk more about your cultivars now, some of the stuff that you've made in the past that you're really happy about. My help over on the podcast, Grow Green Daddy, one of the questions he likes me to ask you guys all the time is, if you had let's shoot for one, but you can pick a top 3 cultivars that you've made that you want to represent your name when you're gone, what would they be?
I would say definitely the Dominion G, the 6 mil. Goddamn, top 3.
It's a hard question. It's okay. Take your time. Take your time.
It really is. I'm gonna say Screaming Eagle in there too.
Oh shit!
And with that Dominion G, it's like my Polecat Dominion G projects. You know, like those were. Oh man, those are good ones. You know. So, but yeah, that would probably be it. The Screaming Eagle one was a big one too.
What was the difference between the Dominion G and the capital G?
Well, the Cat G was just the first attempt. You know, like I'm gonna make this and we're gonna see what happens. A lot of nasty funk resulted from it. I grew some out for just to hook up some friends with it. You know, I had a little keeper, you know, that I wanted to, you know, keep working with. It was just fucking skunk, man. And people were flipping out about it. So I only had, because I did a huge hunt.
Jesus Christ.
I think it was like 40 packs, something like that. And people were just fucking trying to fucking just, I thought I was going to get raped or something, the way people were fucking creeping on me. So I was like, fuck it. Just take them, you know. It's like, it's not a done deal, but I've already had my selection. I've already made a step, you know, in the process. So I already know, like, even if they tried some fuckboy shit, which I know is going to happen anyway, because I've been doing this a while, there's no way in hell they'd catch up. So, you know, I let that out. But, you know, the ultimate goal was to, you know, refine it further and further along into the Dominion G, and having like a really just same thing with the polecat, you know, having that nasty, that Kim skunk blend on the nose, and just knock down kick-ass potency and just good, well-structured plants that weren't floppy or anything, you know, and stuff that was good and hardy that, you know, you could grow it indoor or outdoor and not finicky. So
in the hills in the cold.
Yeah, they can take it. They can definitely take it.
That was my favorite, was growing it up in the mountains when it was all cold and shit. It would just get thick, man. Those branches would be like arms.
Yeah.
By far one of my favorite. Another big thing about something you talked about was when you're curing, you leave about like 1 or 2 inches on your petioles, right?
Yeah, man.
Dude, that's been a huge thing for me. That has helped me out so much with my grow.
Yeah, it really helps with that, with the drying process, man. Like, it keeps things more consistent, you know, so you're not drying up in one spot and not the other. Nice consistent drying, and it acts as like acts as like a wick almost, you know, just kind of slowly and surely, just evenly displacing that moisture that we're trying to get rid of, Yeah, dude turned me on to that back in the day, and I was like, yeah, fuck it. He found out by accident too.
Yeah.
It was, so I remember it was his old lady or his daughter or what, but just helping him do it, and this wasn't, using scissors, and it was just snip, 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 and left it. And he was like, oh no, you can just break them off and just leave it, by the branch. Like, whatever. And then he had all the ones that they'd, done like that. And he noticed, like, wow, that made a substantial difference there. So then he started doing it on purpose and turned me onto it. I was like, I'll be damned.
Nice, dude. Hell yeah. See, before that, I was doing a whole plant hang. I would leave on all the fan leaves and everything like that. And it really, it was okay if you had a couple of plants in there with really good airflow, but you got that thing packed after like an outdoor harvest or something. It was like, Jesus Christ, there's so much moisture in here. And I would take them all the way down, cut the entire leaf off, petiole and everything. And then when I heard you say that, I started leaving a little extra on there, and it actually helped out quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, it's those little things that we pick up, and we started adding all those little things together and make a real successful regimen there,
Yep. So you shouted out the Dominion G, the Screaming Eagle, and what was the other one?
Oh, man. Fucking the 6 mil. Yeah. Like that one.
The 6 mil. What was the 6 mil? I'm not familiar with that one.
That was the local with the Screaming Eagle I made for my buddy Kevin that passed away. It was like two of his favorites. His nickname, he used to call him the $6 million man.
Oh, rest in peace to him. And that's awesome of you for making something in his likeness like that.
Yeah, man. I was gonna do it, doing it for him anyway, but it's just this weird thing, like like a spot on his back. And like I'd seen it there since fucking 90s. It was just like it wasn't even like a mole even, it was just like a giant freckle.
Like a birthmark?
Yeah, it's what, I figured. And, forever goes by, and, he has an old lady, he met later, and she's like a nurse or whatever. And it's like, this wouldn't hurt to get it checked out, And I guess he decided, he would go do that. I guess they cut it to do a biopsy or whatever, and it had some crazy reaction, and just cancer spread throughout his body. He was dead in 72 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's horrible, man.
Yeah, man.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it threw me off, because by the time he had it done, I talked to him that day. I didn't hear from him the next day. And then the following day, I'm like, hey, anybody heard from him, And my buddy TJ is like, they're best friends too. He was like, yeah, dude, he's in the hospital. He tells me what's happening. And I was like, is there any way I can, like talk to him? He's like, he was in so much pain, they, had to put him out. And I wasn't able to, say anything. So I just wrote up a text, and it was just like, told him my final thoughts, or, whatever. And I was hoping, maybe if he did wake up, maybe he would see it or something. But he ended up dying that following day.
Well, it sounds like he would be a guy that would really appreciate what you've done to honor him.
Oh yeah. It was, being a Hanover County, Virginia dude. He just thought it was the greatest fucking thing ever. That I moved out west and was just doing things legit, and like really doing it up.
Hell yeah,
doing it up real proper. He just thought that was just the best shit ever.
And that's your family, right? That's the ones that wanna see you doing good, that want to see you succeed. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Kevin, he was.
You're lucky you had him.
Yeah, man, he was the best. I've known him since like 1990. 93, something like that, and he's one of the best friends, just awesome dude. But I just have to catch up with him on the flip-flop,
Yep. And that'll happen. Always does, man.
Oh, yeah.
I believe we're in energy.
Oh yeah, man, absolutely. Once you're created, it can't be destroyed,
So on a brighter note, we wanted to talk to you about some of those old skunks that you worked with, since that's kind of one of your mainstays. You had a lot that you did. Like you said, the Dominion skunk. I remember you had one that had a cross in it, and it was called Basic Skunk. And I always thought that was funny. Like, especially in this day and age, Duke, I know you've been away for a bit, but dear God, if you're hearing some of the names that people are coming out with now.
Oh yeah, dude.
Orange creamsicle puppy dog. Like, this is the best shit.
Oh dude, it was going on before I left, and we would make fun and be like, yeah, fucking sherbet, fucking butthole, cream pie. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and
yeah.
then like all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, somebody's actually calling something that now. I'm running out of dessert names. Oh geez.
Sherbet butthole?
Yeah.
Who's on that shit?
Yeah.
I could name a couple. No.
Having one buddy, goofy ass names, but yeah, I've always just been kind of, I don't know, man. Just the way my naming process is weird.
I like the fucking names that you come out with, man. It's all good. Polecat was a big one to me because when I had my cousins moved over to Montana, they lived on Polecat Road. And so that name stuck out to me. I was like, fucking polecat. We got to grow polecat, man. Like, it's pretty dope. But when you had that one, I remember seeing the cross on it. It said Basic Skunk. And I said, that's such a funny way to name something when we were talking earlier about like the old tactics of, oh, you can't have that one. Like,
right.
But who wants Basic Skunk? Like, that sounds like it's basic, man. What was the Basic Skunk and why did you name it that?
It was just an NL skunk type hybrid. And back in the day, they had the Basic 5 through Sativa Seed Club skunk hybrid, which is NL5. That's what they I guess that's what they decided to call it then.
Oh, so this was a SSSC original.
Yeah, that was their old name
Okay.
for NL5 skunk.
Well, that makes more sense now. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, using like an old Sensi Shiba skunk and Basic skunk and making this hybrid. It wasn't, the Basic 5 skunk hybrid. So it was just like, I would just call it, Basic skunk. And it was cool because the name like that, it was something, we were keeping in house and everything, but still just the name alone was like, oh, okay, it's just a Basic skunk. I need to look over here, guy.
Right. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a little bit beyond my time. So it's nice hearing those stories and getting familiarized with where those genetics came from. Is that the same thing with the cis skunk, or was that your creation?
No, that was one of mine. Yeah.
Okay. So you did do the cis, the granny, and the local one was just one that was running around Virginia?
Yeah, that was another one that we were just goofing around back in the day. And using a sour diesel IBL when we were goofing around with that, which that wanted to pass out some testers to a few people. We knew some people that were already growing sour, and he wanted our feedback on it, because we could give a real feedback in comparison to the clone. Because back then, you didn't have a whole shit ton of people growing sour diesel, shit. You didn't have even that many people that ever even smoked it, so you needed the good feedback. And we were just goofing around. Had the male or whatever. We had this other hash plant clone back then called the cuttlefish hash plant.
Okay.
And yeah, so we were goofing around, and that's where the local came from. But it was called the Local H. We were jamming out on the radio. We had a little radio. It was underneath of a friend's house. We had dug out a pit, made a false door and shit.
No. Are you serious?
Oh, yeah. Like Shawshank fucking Redemption, dude.
Dude, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Are you my long lost brother? You're not going to tell me you started growing with a heat lamp, did you?
He even had a cop for a neighbor.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
Well, fuck you, Mr. Fancy.
No. My first was
No, we had the same thing. Falls door, fucking it was like a little cellar and shit. But yeah, we had a chicken's heat lamp. We thought that was a good idea.
Yeah, no, I was outdoors first. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was straight up in the dirt, man. We literally dug it out little by little, and would take pass bags up and walk around the backyard, sifting the dirt out like Shawshank Redemption.
Right. That's dope, dude. That's dope.
So yeah, I ran the electric to it, and yeah, we had a nice little fucking grow down there. We had a little radio hooked up, and that band Local H, that was on too. And that shit was like straight, like some dope too, but it was really, really sour, really, really potent. Yeah, the name kind of stuck. I was like, yeah, we'll keep that. So that came from there, and then making hybrids with that. It was definitely a really, really good one.
Hell yeah, man. You also you seem to like the citrus stuff too, right?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I got some citrusy ones I like.
Because you did the G13 too.
Yeah, the Airborne G13 had that like pink lemonade citrus thing going on.
Yeah,
that was the mom and the Screaming Eagle project.
Oh, so that was in that Screaming Eagle.
Yeah, it's
that's why I've heard that name so many times. Shit. Well, fuck, I missed out on that one.
Yeah, exactly. It's 88 G13 hash plant as the mom, Afghani as the donor. Big selection from there. Find the male from there, and then hit the Airborne G13.
Was that Virginia Beach Afghan?
No. This is a Kandahar Afghan.
Oh,
that was used for that. Yeah, the Virginia Beach Ganny. That's just the girl. This one we went the male route. Found the male. Hit the 88 with it. Grew out a bunch of the girls. Saw what I wanted to see. Found the male that was best corresponding to that. Then hit the Airborne with it. So that way we got a good amount of G13 genetics in there. Plus there's some NL2 because half of that Airborne it's a G13 NL2 from old Neville seed bank stock. They grew him out. His little handle was Airborne. So, that was his keeper. So, between the Afghani and the 88 hash plant, G13 hash plant, we were kind of getting good symmetry, good. The things are syncing up just right. So it ended up fucking awesome. I really, really love that one. It's a great one. I'm gonna continue the work with that one too, man. So Philly,
Well, you answered one of the next question.
yeah, I'm gonna continue to Philly will breed that one and come back at everybody with it. That way I can hone in on that one phenotype that I feel is just so awesome. Like all of them are great, but there's the one pheno that it pops up frequently, but like I want the majority of the pack popping like that. And since there was only a limited amount of them that went out to begin with anyway, to like general public, because most of them I gave out to veterans for them to grow or people that were growing for vets or PTSD and stuff and bad anxiety problems.
Okay. Yep. That's why I remember.
So I gave most of them away. And then I had a handful left that sold off because, a lot of people are like, well, I need this, need that. Just people beating your door down, So everybody had basically hit me up that was going to hit me up. It was like a whole fucking year, maybe even more than a year later. And I was like, all right, let the last handful of them out. People went pretty much ape shit over it. And I was like, yeah, it's something I need to continue on because I was so impressed with it. And it's such a good thing.
So would it be fair to say that you have plans to get back into those, find that phenotype and back cross it?
So I'd already done some a filial step with it anyway, or 2 steps with it, and it really honed in. It really, really honed in just doing it like that. So I don't think back crossing will be necessary with that one.
So you're going to go forward with the line. Right on.
Yeah, just doing the filial. I think we'll do the F4 and then check it out from there. And that's probably where I'll leave it, is just at an F4. I'll keep driving it in and in and in. If I'm getting that result at F4, then, you know, I'm cool with that.
Hell yeah. So everybody's got something to look forward to eventually in the future.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
When you can.
Where there's a will, there's a way, right?
When you're a free man again.
That's right.
So one more that I wanted to touch on was I was going back through. Obviously, I remembered the Munson and the Polecat, but a couple of those, the capital G, that popped back up in my head when you said cuttlefish. I remembered that being talked about, but I just wasn't familiar enough. And going back through your types, I saw one that was named Swayze.
Yeah, dude.
Why is it named Swayze? Is it sexy as fuck?
No, dude. It's kind of fucked up for real, but so that one was the Ghost OG that I used with the skunk. And
I love Ghost.
can you remember the movie Ghost with Patrick Swayze?
Yes. Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha. Wow, I didn't even make the fucking connection. Jesus Christ. I read the description. I was like, Ghost OG. I love Ghost. I didn't even. Jesus Christ. I'm such a stoner.
Yeah, so I got a pretty fucked up sense of humor. Yeah, dude. And it'll make it and it would ghost you out too, man. Fucking you would and you know, like Swayze used to be slang, you know, it was like, oh, I'm done, I'm out, I'm Swayze, dude. It would definitely put you out. Fucking I tell you, like, who used to like rock it out like pretty hard and used to have like real great runs of it was Jay Plant Speaker. Yeah, he was doing some gnarly runs of it. He had a really, really funky skunky one too.
All right, so we had some questions from my patrons that they wanted to ask you. Qball00 says, did you ever think you'd be who you are today in cannabis?
No, I had no idea. I knew like I wanted to do some good things for people, but I had no idea that there would be, by the time I got out in the legit world, I just saw so much fuckery and bullshit and, you know, people that were not the best people in the past. And I'm like, wow, holy shit, y'all are the people running this now. Like, and honestly, like, it pissed me off before I even moved out here. And I was like, all right, well, you know, I'm still going to go do my thing. And I think, you know, I never expected it. But one thing I can say to anybody is like, you're just doing what you do, doing the right thing every day. If it's the right thing and the good energy and good intention, people that have that same basis, you know, in their life, you know, ethics and quality and just the, you know, the whole can of worms, man. Like, those people are going to find themselves drawn to you. And what's refreshing about the whole thing is like, there's so many really, really, really good people still left out there. And that definitely gave me hope.
Yes.
On the future. You know what I mean? So I never thought, like, when people are like, oh, you're legend, or oh my God, you're famous. I'm like, no, dude, I am not fucking shit. I am just a normal fucking Virginia dude fucking that likes doing stuff and, you know, I like doing it good.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Don't forget where you came from.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, it weirds me out. Like, first person asked for an autograph, I'm like, what? You fucking with me, right? And they're like, no, I want it. And I want a picture with you. I'm like, all right, that's cool. I'll do that.
Always passing the good vibes, man. You want a picture, get a picture with me. I don't care, but I get where you're coming from, man. I fucking vibe with that for sure. I had a guy pop into my Discord the other day. I don't remember who it was, but he said, oh yeah, I'm a longtime fan of Doc Calyx. And I was like, I got fans? Fuck.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this? And then another one of my buddies called me boss the other day. I was like, I'm not your boss. And he's like, well, how do you perceive yourself? And I said, honestly, podcasting. I was like, yeah, everybody wants to talk to breeders and shit. I just know some. I got some connections and fucking talk to people,
say,
you know?
I'm just a dude dressed like a dude playing another dude.
I said, I feel like I'm the Lorax of the stoners. I'll speak for y'all. Got the hair and all. We're good. All right. Another one of our patron members, Vanilla Rice. I love that name, Vanilla Rice.
Nice.
He said, I heard you use fruit juices in your feeding regimen. Is it FFJ, FPJ, or are you talking about actual fruit juice?
I don't even know what FFFP expialidocious is.
It's K&F inputs. Fermented plant juice and fermented fruit juice.
Oh, okay. All right. No, so I'm using actual real 100% organic fruit juice. I'm actually going out to like the real hippied out stores and getting the really good organic fruit. I'm going like full on Jack LaLanne. I got a food processor. I can fucking turn it into a puree. And I'm mixing it all together. And then from there, yeah, I'll ferment. And there was a dude that asked me earlier, like I saw the DM and I had a chance to get to it, but he was like, so do I add, he said, break it down. Do I need to add like yeast to it? And I need to get back. And I'm like, no, unless you want to make brandy. Now, if you want to make brandy and make some liquor, then yes. But we do not want alcohol, water and any alcohol. So no, we're not gonna do that. Break it down with.
So you're making about the best type of FFJ, FPJ you could. You're doing whole fruits, right? Skins, everything.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Letting it naturally ferment. That's KNF, brother. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, man. Right here in America. How about that?
Do you strain it out or do you use all the pulp?
I strain it.
You strain it.
Strain it out just for like, running it because like I would water using a pump. I didn't want too many solids left behind. But all the leftover I threw in my compost bin, and then I use it as top dressing on the pots.
Oh shit. And then you're throwing a mulch layer over that?
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say my only concern would be like ants and bugs and shit. Well, you're doing this indoor too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you're controlling. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, man. So yeah, little earthworm castings on top of it, little insect grass, mix some leaves up over top of that, with some bokashi under it, and you're in the skins in, man.
Okay, so another patron member, OK Calix, good friend of mine. I'm going to shout him out right now, OK Calix of OK Calix Genetics. Go hit him up if you haven't seen him. Great fucking dude. Duke, you love him. Good guy. He wanted to know how long till you were growing again. We kind of talked about that already. Future breeding plans. Did you have anything else that you wanted to do other than the Screaming Eagle?
Oh man, so much. The thing is with me is like I can say like, yeah, definitely there's a lot, but the way that I work is it's Willy Wonka.
They'll know when it's done.
Yeah, it's Willy Wonka shit. It don't come out into the know until it's beyond done. It's literally ready for drop.
Yeah.
Before I even mention it.
Don't count your eggs before they're hatched, right?
Well, there's that, and also there's just too many knockoffs out there and scammers.
True. Very true.
Like they'll claim that they're doing it. They'll hear it and be, oh, that's a great idea, and then claim that they got it and they did it, and there it is available for sale. Or they might even hear of a clone that's not even known of. I've seen this happen so many times, and it becomes this hot word. Oh yeah, I'm using this one, and then before you know it, all
Gotcha. Yeah, for sure.
And the lead is, it's stupid.
Dude, that's kind of the shitty thing about being, held in regard, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, they're looking. You got a lot of people looking out for you, and then you got a lot of people looking out for you, and looking to take advantage of your ass.
Okay, I don't know if there's some inside information I don't have or what's going on here, but he says, "What was the new exciting strain at the Emerald Cup?"
Well,
No, another one we can't talk about.
Well, there was one that Heroes of the Farm Pat was doing. And then we did some stuff back in the day. Freedom Fighter. They might be talking about that. There's one that I did back in the day, and I gave them all to AK Bean Brains. And I was like, yeah, just have them. Like, well, for what? I was like, well, you gave me a clone, and this is what happens. Like, things are gonna come back to you. I'm not giving them out. I'm like releasing them or anything. I just want you to have them. If you want to do whatever, you can sell them, you can grow them, just whatever you want. It's just thank you. So we called it Thunderhole, and it was the male was called Ass Man, and it hit the Thunderfuck.
Oh, his bad Nuska.
Yeah. So we call it Thunderhole, and he had them, and then I guess they'll be available here in the very, very near future, because I gave him a lot. Yeah, so he just had them. So
I'm definitely seeing that same fucking vibe now. I understand why AK said I would like you. I was like, yeah, I can see that motherfucker saying Thunderhole too.
oh yeah, piss shit, damn fuck, yeah.
So the Thunderhole, what has he got to talk to you about it much? Like, what is it that he loves about it so much?
It just insane amounts of resin and really, really strong knockdown potency. But he was getting these the real strong orange citrusy phenos that he was just blown away with, like nice fucking Christmas tree bud. I was like, yeah, knockdown potency is definitely. I was like, between that male and the Thunderfuck, it's like it doesn't really have much of a choice,
Right.
But yeah, big beefy plants, man, and yeah, just get out and fucking flop down, take knock you down shit.
Good deal, man. So are you more in, I mean, you work with Skunks, you work with G13, you also do so much Afghani work and shit. Do you have like a preference in the type of high that you enjoy?
I like them all. All just depends on the time of the
like, yeah, they all have their own place.
Exactly.
Is there one that you're like wanting more than the other?
No, like so, and this is a kind of segue with the, we were talking about medical stuff too. Is like if you smoke that same thing every day, day in, day out,
yes,
you build up that tolerance, and it's just not as great as it was. You're like chasing the dragon, looking for it again, but you got to put it down and get away from it. So I always like, for our time and place, so like my daytimes, 3 to 5 different things I like for the daytime. Intermediate in the evening, I want to chill, but I still got to do shit. I had 3 to 5 I like for that, and 3 to 5 for just knocking me the fuck out at night.
Yeah.
So that way I can rotate through these. And the same thing with like dealing with medical patients is like finding multiple things that are getting to that same goal for them, and leaving them of whatever ailment it might be, right? And that way they can rotate it. So this one day, this one the next day, and then go through that cycle, so they don't really build that tolerance up to it. So they're getting good relief, day in and day out. So yeah, I had a lot of different little ones for the day, and then in the evening, and then definitely for the night too.
Good deal, man. I'm very much the same. I feel myself going for the more heady shit most of the time, and I'm one of those guys that's like, I'm gonna keep going, and I'm going all day until I pass the fuck out. There's no relaxing and going to bed. I'm just like fucking when my body gives out, I'm done, and that's when I'm gonna smoke my bedtime shit.
Yeah, man.
So that's pretty rare for me, in finding a cultivar that I appreciate for that time of the day. When I'm ready to go to bed, I'm done, I want to be relaxed, I want to lay in my bed, float for a second, and fall asleep.
Yeah.
What have you produced that you would be like, man, this is what you need to go out for Betty by?
I would say for the night, that local skunk was pretty fucking knocked down, and some of these phenos, like it was just overboard. I would also have to say these purple dahlia phenos were real good for me for going to sleep.
Fuck yes. I was looking at that one.
Yeah, great. I really like that one. Stash plant was another real just heavy, put you out type stone. Granny skunk, that was another one. That was definitely more on the narcotic side. Screaming eagle, like if you're really chiefing hard, it's definitely gonna put you in that zone too. There was the Beefcake D, which was like a figure 4 male to the Chem Dog D. That one was pretty heavy on the sedation as well.
I don't know why, but Chem and OG bring me up like a motherfucker.
I was gonna say that too.
I don't get that, but a lot of people it knocks out. It brings me the fuck up. I love Chem in the morning.
So I've had friends in the past, like, ever have any friends, like, they put them on Ritalin or Adderall or anything like that?
No. No.
No? All right. So it's like an ADD.
Fuck, that would make a lot of sense, though.
So it's an ADD drug. So, you may have a friend that literally bounces off the walls all the fucking time, right? So they give them the shit and then it just mellows them out. Allows them to concentrate and, be more calm, right? Now, if you give that same drug to someone else who doesn't need that, they're going to fucking bounce all over the walls, and it's the exact opposite, right?
Right.
So there's some people that can take, like, narcotics, even Percocets and Oxycontin and shit like that, and man, they're fucking zinging around the fucking place doing work and talking a million miles an hour. And then, the next man, he's going to be passed out for about 8 hours. So it's like, depending on the person, it really had, you could say like the majority of people experience this, but yeah, sometimes it's the exact opposite, man.
And I found that interesting with those two because I'm typically one of those people that if it is more along that indica, and I say that very openly because that's such a, coagulated topic of what's indica, what's sativa.
Yeah.
But more of those style of plants usually do put me out, and more of the hazes and the sativas, if you will, do bring me up. But for some reason, Chem and OG they don't fit that profile.
You know what you could start using? Yeah.
All right, man. Well, fuck, we learned a shit ton on this episode. I'm so happy you threw out all those fucking tips, taking your time to talk with us about your cultivars, your plans for the future, and sharing so many fucking laughs with me, man. This was by far one of my favorite interviews that I've done. And I'm really glad I got to meet you. Thank you.
Oh, man. Thank you.
What is up, everybody? Your boy Doc Calix here. Before we get going from this episode, I wanted to ask you, were you aware that we have our very own private Discord server? That's right, very own private Discord server. You can check it out entirely free at discord.gg/Calix Crew Podcast. You will be limited to the general chat in the reception area. You can kind of talk to me. We can see what's going on with your grow, or you can just share some of your experiences in growing. It's a great community. Probably one of the best platforms that I've ever dealt with, if I'm not coming across too cocky. We've got a great team of people in there. If you want to unlock a little bit more, if you want a little bit more of the Calix Crew podcast experience, you can check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/doc_Calix. We have 2 different tiers in there. We have a $5 tier that unlocks all of the Discord. We have a total of, like 161 channels in there. Everything from growing, showing off your glass, showing off your joint, art, teas, brewing teas, integrated pest management, pretty much anything you can think of. We've got a team of specialists that are just fucking killing it in there, really helping me out, teaching guys how to do stuff that even I didn't know. I'm learning shit in there every day. So I want to give a quick shout out to some of those guys that are helping me out. Shiggity Flips, our very own SIP specialist. If you guys aren't familiar with SIP, it's a sub-irrigated planter. It's an awesome way to do organic growing in an organic and growing environment. He's also on Instagram. You can check him out there. TK Geico, our Scrog specialist. You can find him on Instagram as Monster Scroggin. Always killing the Scrog. If you want to learn how to Scrog, that is the boy to go to. Go check him out. Tinkle Turp is our host. If you come into the Discord, he will see you right away. Grow Green Daddy, our lead content creator that helps us out with all of this. You hear him on the mid-rolls. My funny Australian bastard friend, I love him to death. And then my other Australian friend, Harshy83, who's in there moderating our Discord. Awesome dude. We also have a $10 tier if you guys want even more behind the scenes content. We just had an awesome one with Duke on the story of Tommy Two Dicks. We also do Q&As with our podcast guests. We do game day giveaways, the infamous do or dab that everybody's heard of. You get a chance to come in there, play games, win free prizes, build a community, an awesome fucking community. It's worth checking out, at least completely for free. Jump in there, see if you like it, and we'll go from there. Love y'all, appreciate y'all. Thank you for supporting the show, and I will catch you on the next one. This is Doc Calix saying good night and grow right.